childish frustrations and complexes. The police are searching for James Thomas.
Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to Midnight Movie Gang. It is currently 1:19 a.m. Night Movie Gang. My name is Elsie Hines, and I'm here with my buddy Joseph. Say hi, Joseph.
Hi, Joseph. Ha ha ha.
This is going to be a very tired episode. Joseph and I have been quite busy. I don't know the specifics of how Joseph's been busy, but I've been on the road for my job.
Yep.
And it's been hard to find time to do some podcast things. There's some more recordings we need to do. Things are going to come out late, but you know what? It's fine.
They're gonna come out. God damn it.
Yep, all the content's there. They just have to. It's just internet's hard sometimes. And today, and while I was on the road, I watched this movie Mimic, and I thought it'd be a nice one to do kind of a quick episode on, and just talk a little bit about monster movies and Guillermo del Toro, and you know that I have not gotten Joseph's word at all on like what he thought about this film. You just finished
Nor will you. It'll just be a
I had
secret
only
for
seen this
me.
movie for the first time a few days ago, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's just gonna be me talking about you. You won't tell me what you thought of Mimic at all during the whole episode.
Out of pure spite.
Pretend that you didn't see. Oh, Mimic! I just watched Feast again.
I just played Dark Souls. I think I got confused.
Yeah. I watched Memento by Christopher Nolan. Yeah, so I guess so Mimic is a 1997 American science fiction horror film directed by Guillermo del Toro, his second directorial feature, based on Donald A. Wollheim's short story of the same name. The plot, basically the spoiler-free version of the plot for people who might not have seen this movie if you're listening, which, by the way, we're going to go into full spoilers on it, people who care.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to. Yeah.
But according to Wikipedia here, its plot follows the creation of a genetically modified insect designed to battle an infected cockroach infestation that rapidly evolves and begins attacking humans. So like it's it's like a 90s creature feature, monster movie. Akin to
for like half of it.
Really interesting you say that. Like something I remember when I watched it. So like the reason I watched this was because on the road there was a DVD player on the bus, and the internet and cable TV was not reliable on the bus. So when we were near Walmart, so I just picked up some DVDs at Walmart, and in the $5 bin was the Mimic trilogy
Interesting
DVD box set. So that's why, and I was like, oh, I've heard of Mimic. Like I kind of wanted to give it a watch, not knowing, I didn't know that it was directed by Guillermo del Toro. I just knew that it was a monster movie out there.
It sure is too, though. Like if you know that, you can see his fingerprints everywhere.
Oh, 100%. I'm like, yeah, no, this is definitely the way it's lit. Like,
we got this sort of like pseudo surreal set design at times, and like
kind of the fantasy kid element. Like the kid, I feel like I really
the father and son from 1945
exactly.
in the 90s New York.
Exactly. This 40s shoe polisher, old man Geppetto and fucking Pinocchio ass looking.
Pretty
kid.
Much.
Yeah, no, definitely a lot of. I really like how Del Toro writes kid characters, but we'll get to that. And that's very much the vibe. And I guess before I kind of tell my basic thoughts on it, Joseph, you just finished it. If you want to share, just kind of firstly, tell me your history with Guillermo del Toro, movies you've seen, movies you like, whether you like him or not as a filmmaker, and then tell me your take on this movie thus far, your fresh reaction.
I really like Del Toro. I grew up with the Hellboy movies, the good ones, and really enjoyed them. And I just rewatched them and enjoyed them even more. Let's see. I thought Pacific Rim was a little underwhelming for me, which I know is an unpopular opinion. And I love Pan's Labyrinth. I just love like the way he views movies. I really like that Pinocchio movie he just made.
Mm-hmm. His stop motion Pinocchio.
Yeah, I think he's got a really interesting voice, and I like what he does. And I really like this movie a lot. more than I thought, because I saw it was a 6 out of 10 when I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, okay. And it's like, I can definitely see some pretty strong criticism of this, but I liked a lot more than I disliked, and I think the stuff that I would like quote unquote dislike is just like a different direction I would have liked to see it go.
Mm-hmm.
But like, no, the characters are amazing. I like pretty much every single character in this movie, except for the two leads are kind of boring.
Yeah, a lot of the characters, even though they're kind of types, I feel like the performance. I think the cast,
it's the performances.
I think the cast is really good for the most part. Like you said, I think the two leads are the same, but like there are a lot of fun, really memorable characters. The fucking the two kids who are hunting bugs, the two New York ass kids. Like, come on, bug lady, was at least a 10.
That little kid looked so familiar, and I still haven't like put my finger on what he looks like.
The white
like
kid?
he didn't like grow up to be like in any like famous stuff, so I think he just looks like an actor that I can't quite put my finger on.
He's like young Christopher from The Sopranos.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I don't know. He's got that like very specific like skinny face with like a big mouth. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like right on the tip of my tongue, and I just can't. It drove me crazy the whole time he was on screen, which wasn't for very long.
Yeah, no, you got fucking him and the kid.
This movie kills the fuck out of kids.
It killed the fuck out of unexpectedly. By the way, 2 nights ago, me and Courtney we watched it because I knew Courtney would like it. We watched it and they were very shocked by the kid. I was shocked by the kids getting killed too, but they were like, "What the fuck?"
I'm starting to believe that kids dying in movies isn't as taboo as I once thought it was, because it shows up all the time.
What do you mean?
Like, in a lot of movies that we watch, kids die. Like, it's crazy. I used to think that it was like, whoa, I can't believe they crossed that line, but it's like everywhere.
It is. Kids dying in a movie is very much, that's like, I give a movie a lot of respect for killing a kid, not gonna lie. In a weird way.
You always say that. You always say I have a lot of respect for people who kill kids.
I do, because like, I don't know, like, it's different and funnily, I think it's one of those things where how do I put this? This might be a controversial take. I feel like if I was somebody, if I had kids, maybe I'd have a different take on it. Like if I was a parent,
probably,
because I feel similar in a way of like how do I put this? Because I don't like it when dogs die in movies.
Yeah,
and I don't know how much of that is because I'm a dog dad.
I always thought that takes some balls too, yeah. And I am a dog dad, and I'm still just like, whoa,
yeah,
the stakes have been raised.
Because like I don't know, you know what I think? You know what I think part of it is? Like, actually, this movie is probably a perfect example of it. Is that kids still? Whoa, what the fuck is that? Is that a toy?
No, it's a fake. It's a prop gun that I just have and I fucking play around with on my desk.
For the folk,
you think I just pointed a real gun at my cat?
Listening, I'm looking at Joseph. I thought you were cocking a real fucking gun, and I was like, God damn. Okay.
Talk again about the dogs.
Tell you about the goddamn dogs. Let's see. What was I saying? Oh, but so something that like I think how to put this, that I think when kids die in a movie can be a bit more justified is that like kids have more agency than like an animal, right?
Yeah.
In the sense that like if a dog dies in a movie, there's no good reason for that dog to die because like most of the time the dog doesn't know what's going on, right? Like the dog doesn't have like. You know, like the dog in Alien 3 who got chest bursted, like it didn't know what was happening. Yeah. It was just like, whereas like, I'll use the example of the kids in this movie, how, they fucked with the egg sack. Like,
well, sure.
They fucked
I don't know.
I
think in general, the reason you're killing kids and dogs in movies are about the same, just to show that the thing doing it doesn't really care about like, it isn't like affected by like the sanctity of these things. Like it just wants to kill something. Yeah,
by like the morals of the human. That this thing is like just an animal type deal.
Yeah, I see it about the same.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. I definitely think. Well, I think for me, it's like how do I put it? I don't want to see any kid die or any obviously in the real world, I don't want to see anybody die. But as far as like in a movie, how do I put it? These kids had a way to get out. In the sense that like they didn't have to cut the bug sack. Like they should have
Sure.
in this situation been like man, we should have just ran, but didn't. And that's like how they I don't know. There's like a certain
I don't know. I don't know if like deaths in horror movies should be fair. A lot of the time, I don't think that there should be like that kind of like element of fairness. Like I think the tragedy in the beginning of The Thing is like, oh, those poor dogs. This thing's really fucked up. Yeah, like I think a lot of the time horror comes from that sort of like pure tragedy of like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
Like someone doesn't have to deserve to die in a movie to die.
I guess, yeah. I think another element of it is also just how gratuitous you get, because I feel like, yeah, the kids die in this movie, but you don't necessarily see. It's not a super gory scene,
No.
Versus something like, I think about like, I don't know, Alien 3. I guess is going to come up a lot because I was thinking because there's an actor in this movie that plays a prominent character in Alien 3 that I was just thinking about the whole time. With the newt dissection scene, like we don't need to see that.
Yeah, it's not necessary.
Yeah, so I don't know.
But I mean, like it's not. I think the newt dissection scene, like when a dog dies, it's like a lot of the time it's scary. Like if this thing's gonna do that to a dog, like what's it gonna do to a person, like kind of thing. Where the newt dissection scene, like that, what does that even add to the movie?
It's not a scary scene. It's just a scene for shock value.
It's just there to make you uncomfortable. Yeah, not even to be scary. Yeah,
that's an excellent point. But I'll talk a little bit about to get off the dead kids topic.
Dead dog talk.
Dead dog. This is the Dead Dog podcast. Fucking my little history with Del Toro. Yeah, grew up with the Hellboy movies as well. Love Del Toro. I didn't rewatch them for this episode, but Hellboy 2 is like one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. Like I still to this day say that like
it's great.
The troll market scene in Hellboy 2 is the modern version of the cantina scene from the first Star Wars. As far as like,
I want to watch that scene like over and over again, because there's just like
so many.
It's like overstimulating how much I want to like focus in on in that scene.
Exactly. Like it's just those movies. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say like that scene is just a showcase of like how. I feel like something that Guillermo del Toro is really good at is blending these really like fantastical, incredible things into the real world. Like in those Hellboy movies, even like, when they're walking through the troll market and like you see Abe Sapien and Hellboy walking around, you're not questioning for a moment that it's not real. He just does such a good job with like
practical
effects. And I think about Hellboy as an example of like another thing, and the reason I bring up Star Wars is because the troll market, everything's dirty. Everything looks like it's been there for a million years. Same thing with Pan's Labyrinth, the fawn in Pan's Labyrinth. Like, its environment is so old, and you can see like all damage on its skin and just like how long it's been around, and like, that sense of like realism and that sense of like, just like putting in that extra effort to make things feel real. And even something like Pacific Rim, which is mostly CGI, I think that comes through in the way that he's really honest in terms of scale. Like in Pacific Rim, he's constantly reminding you how huge these things are, whether it's from like having like the moment I always think about Pacific Rim is like, the scene when towards the beginning where Gypsy Danger's like falls in Antarctica or whatever, and there's like the dad and his son fishing. It's a wide shot where you see the dad and his kid and the robot in the same frame, and it's a one take of it, falling down, and it's constant.
I was thinking the whole time, like, this is like Del Toro's like good version of that shitty Roland Emmerich Godzilla movie from 1998 or 99.
Exactly.
Like this is like I wish he would have made that movie.
100%. He's what's it called? He's so incredible at making these so fantastical things feel so real. That's why I want to reiterate, motherfucker should have directed Dune.
He would have been a good dude. I wanted his Hobbit more than anything. I would have preferred his Hobbit to his Dune.
His Hobbit would have been great. Lord of the Rings and
real bum that never worked out.
Yeah, no, that would have been fucking sick. but yeah, no. And with this movie, this is like very early on in his career, and I kind of want to say, as far as like some of the negative things about the movie, which there are. I mean, like, and also talking about I really enjoyed the movie. Kind of weird. I was watching it on the bus, and it was kind of hard to hear. And then when I rewatched the other day, I was able to appreciate it more. And there are a lot of it. It reminds me so much of like movies I grew up with from this era. That is this kind of like monster movie.
Yeah, this is right up your alley, especially in the last like third.
Yeah, like Tremors, Eight-Legged Freaks was probably the one that I got the most kind of vibe from.
I gotta say, I think that the last part of this movie where it kind of turns into that sort of like Aliens, Tremors, kind of like just surviving a bunch of. I think that's where it kind of fell short for me. I feel like
agreed.
The rest of the movie has like such a strong vibe, and it feels like it's like building to something. And I think the concept of like these giant bugs that can walk around and look like humans in New York, because no one ever pays attention to other people in New York, and they'll just like walk past you and you won't even know. I think that's a super interesting concept that's just like never explored really in this movie. And like as soon as we know about it, they never really like use it again.
Yeah, once we kind of get to the point where we're in the abandoned subways for most of it, it does become
it just becomes like an action horror movie almost.
Yeah, like it becomes like, yeah, you said Alien, just as far as like we're stuck in like a dark industrial environment running away from these creatures. And I think it becomes because I do enjoy the first I enjoy the build up a lot in the first half of this movie, where like we're kind of seeing little snippets of attacks, and like Josh Brolin is like investigating.
I love his character. I love him in this. I love everybody in this.
Oh, he's fucking awesome. Giving big Ian Malcolm vibe. This is a few years after Jurassic Park. Big like bad boy scientist is such a 90s specific like good energy.
If I were rewriting this movie, I would cut the main white dude and just have Josh Brolin be married to the lead woman.
That's true. Or maybe
actually, you don't need two of this guy.
No, what would be better? They're divorced and they got to work together. That's the you need the heat there, Joseph.
He's like a PI or like he's like a cop, right?
Well, in the he's like a CDC. I forget his exact role, but he's like a disease cop. Like he's like a CDC agent who is brought in for like cases involving diseases, which like just really cool character. He always says something like witty or funny. He's like, my dad wanted me to be a dentist, and I thought what would be more gross looking in people's mouths, when he's
meanwhile he's like pulling shit off the ceiling and putting it in a bottle.
Exactly. His character was really good. There are a lot of like fun little memorable characters, but
I like the cop guy or the security guy, whatever he is.
Charles Dutton's character. Who's got a real hard on for the MTA for.
As he should. These guys are fucking annoying. I loved when he was like uptown. like these people come down here and start fucking shit up. I liked the man, you ever seen any shit like this? No, I haven't seen shit like this.
Yeah.
Do I look like I've seen shit like this?
So that's Charles Dutton as Officer Leonard Norton, he's Dylan from Alien 3, who's one of the more memorable characters from Alien 3.
Yeah.
So it is definitely cool to see him here, and it makes this man only exists to be killed by
monster movies,
monsters in the 90s. But so just starting off, how the movie starts with the plot. So basically, I remember when I started it, I was a little bit confused. So there's a disease spreading in New York City.
There's a plague that specifically targets children.
Yeah, I thought it was polio at first when the movie started. And there's disease spreading. There's a woman going around looking at all these dying kids. And then
in this like really interesting big room, like I remember being like, is this gonna feel like a Del Toro movie? Because like a lot of the time, like you get like these super early movies in these directors' careers, and you can't really see like their style yet. But like that first room with the hospital room with all the kids, it immediately it looks like a shot from a Del Toro movie.
Exactly, it looks like
that set is crazy.
It looks like some kind of like Pan's Labyrinth Nazi ward or something. fucking yeah, that's another thing. I didn't know we were in New York City at first. I'm like, are we like in Mexico somewhere? Like, just me
Nope.
being
It's a
racist.
very New York movie.
Yeah, New York is hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this woman is looking at all these kids, and she we kind of cut. We get like a lot of cut. This is also kind of cut in with the opening where we see pictures of bugs and stuff, and like basically she goes down to the sewer, to the sewers in these hazmat suits, and she releases these weird looking bugs to attack the
Yeah.
cockroaches. And it's releasing this white chemical, and like at first you don't really know what's going on, and then it quickly gets explained to us. Like she does a press conference where she's like, yeah, we designed these bugs called the Judas breed that are designed to like
kill roaches, essentially.
To release an enzyme that like this says release an enzyme that accelerates the roach's metabolism, causing them to burn up and die, basically. And in that, these genetically engineered bugs are designed to be sterile, and they're designed to only live for about 6 months. So after they do their job, they're supposed to just die off. And then wouldn't it be crazy if that was the movie? if it just ended after that, like, yep, there's no,
it's like Pandemic, but with bugs, and the solution is bugs.
Exactly. And then we get a bit of a 3-year jump cut to 3 years later, and
which makes sense.
It's an interesting little the opening confused me a little bit. Like I was like, whoa, I have no idea what's going on, but then it all kind of came into focus, and it's basically just like it's a prologue just explaining like here's the backstory of like what's important. And then 3 years later we see a priest getting chased by somebody that we can't see, getting chased through a New York alley and chased to a New York rooftop.
He's on the rooftop, which is this crazy like rooftop access thing that looks like a cliff.
Yeah,
like it looks like an expressionist painting.
Looks like the Ninja Turtles are around the corner, fucking somewhere. Yo, when I want to cross over with mimicking in where like the turtles are in the sewer just chilling in, and then they have to
be an appropriate villain for the for the turtles. They all look the same, and you could just it'd be like a video game villain.
Exactly, that'd be a lot of fun. Why isn't there a Turtles video game like that? Anyway, so the priest gets attacked, and there's a little autistic boy in a window looking down. Looking down on the priest getting attacked, and he gets pulled under the sewer.
He makes note of the priest's shoes.
Fucking Pennywise style. Yeah, no, you can identify the size and make and shit of the priest's shoes. And the dude gets dragged under the sewer, Pennywise style. And we get like a few like little kind of distant shots of like our assailant creature. It looks like it's supposed to look like a dude in a trench coat. That's kind of like. That's kind of like all we see of
which is a super cool concept. Like you don't know that it's a bug yet, but it's a bug. It's a super cool concept, and it's like up close it looks like something that Del Toro would like have a hand in designing.
100%.
And I was hoping that would lead to like a sort of like Body Snatchers kind of deal. Like there's like all these themes about like protecting children and like just being protective in general, and I don't know. I thought that there was going to be like this cool like paranoia, like the bugs are walking among us, don't you understand? And it's New York, so no one's paying any attention.
Yeah, but it's kind of less.
Maybe that's in the sequels. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. I haven't watched any of the sequels yet. I'm gonna. Which, by the way, the other two are direct to video, and neither of them are directed by Del Toro. So
probably not worth a watch. You could tell me how they are.
So you know how they're gonna be. I thought that it was gonna be that way too. Like when I was like saw the plot of this movie, how like, oh yeah, these things like mimic their prey. I thought it was gonna be like more literal. Like we're gonna see like just some dude walking down the street like eating.
They're everywhere. Like they look like spies. They look like they're wearing a hat and everything.
Yeah, but it is kind of more of a subtle thing in that like I do kind of buy that, because it might be skipping ahead, but like this form that they have where they look like dudes in trench coats, they still look, if you look at them, they still look fucked up.
They look freaky and uncanny, like Slender Man or some shit.
But it does make sense.
But that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool, and it's a cool design, and it does make sense to me, especially that in New York, a place where like literally New Yorkers are just so socially trained to like not give a shit about the people around them.
Yeah.
Like they're surrounded by people, so many weird different kinds of people that they wouldn't notice like some big looking dude in a trench coat, because like of course it's New York, like fucking people.
Yeah,
they're weird
It's not quite how evolution works, but it's I'll give it a pass because it's cool.
Yeah, you gotta let the science go in in the case of this. And also they only seem to come out at night, so like they'd be harder to kind of identify. So it makes sense.
They just kind of walk around and look at you from far away.
Exactly. You decide, who am I dragging down for dinner to feed?
Like imagine just like it made me think like imagine just a world where you walk around New York and these things are just kind of like a nuisance and you can't always tell like like everyone kind of knows that they're around, but like they're just like a hazard that you have to look out for. These big bugs that kind of look like people.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at a text.
So good.
Yeah. Sorry, I got my train of thought fucking went away.
It's so good.
But yeah, no, these bugs look like people in New York.
I was imagining just like a world like post this movie where like they're just like a thing that you have to look out for, like just another danger of like urban living.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They like that actually like look closer, maybe in a couple of generations of evolving.
Yeah.
But yeah. So after that, we're kind of caught up with what's it called? With the doctor. We haven't even talked about like the characters necessarily yet. So the main two characters we're introduced at this point in the movie is Dr. Susan Tyler and Dr. Peter Mann, who are a couple.
They get married off screen.
Yeah, Dr. Mann works for the CDC, and Dr. Tyler is an entomologist. She's a bug doctor, and she's the one who designed the breed. And before the time skip, she expresses a bit of her concern of like, well, we have no idea what kind of impact they're going to have on the environment. Like, and Dr. Mann's like, let's have sex.
My thing is like, who cares? Like, it's New York. Like, I know that there's like an ecosystem in the sewers of roaches, but like, who gives a shit about an ecosystem of roaches in the sewers?
Exactly. But by the way, you know what this dynamic with these two characters reminded me a lot of while I was watching it? Fucking Prometheus. A little bit. The two doctor couple, and like also, and then the woman, she's infertile as well, and that's like a plot line in there too. Like
like implied to be infertile. Like they're trying to get pregnant, and they're and it's just not working out,
and
which is like
it ain't happening.
Yeah. Like this plague was like set to basically wipe out this whole like generation of children apparently. And they almost like single-handedly stopped that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Science wins the day, but causes a bigger problem.
It feels like all the interesting concepts of this movie are like right at the very beginning and right before the third act when it doesn't matter anymore. Exactly.
Like they're not really as interested in the science. Like we want to just be. I think a part of it might be that reading on the production of it, Guillermo del Toro had a lot of creative conflicts in this movie when it came to the editing, with the producers, and he said that he was not a fan of the theatrical cut of this movie and how it turned out.
Yeah.
But there is a director's cut that is on the Blu-ray release of this movie, which I only have the DVD.
I think that might be on YouTube as well for rent when I was looking it up.
Okay. Do you know if you watched the theatrical or the director's?
I watched the one on Paramount Plus, so probably theatrical.
Okay, yeah. Apparently the director's cut is only 6 minutes longer, so who knows what they could add that would... And apparently Del Toro's more happy with that cut.
Okay.
But yeah, no, not really interested in a lot of the scientific, like, philosophical elements of it.
It just kind of turns into it. It like almost seems like it's going to be like with its like focus on kids and like all these like interesting characters, and then like it just turns into like a fun action movie at the end.
Mm-hmm. I definitely saw some parallels with Jurassic Park in terms of those conversations. Like, I think there's a scene where she goes to her like old professor dude, and he says pretty much like like he says like
Yeah,
you know, the fucking
you
thing,
shouldn't have done this, but
life
also you saved my grandkids, so whatever.
life finds a way, or like things tend to stay alive to try
Yeah.
to stay alive.
Except the CGI in Jurassic Park looks good.
Yeah, not the one in this one. Which, yeah, I guess we can kind of start talking about a little bit of it. So like when just looking at, how do I put it, just really really quickly going through some of the characters that are introduced. We learn more about Chewie the boy and her dad and
Yeah.
his dad, who he's a shoe shiner, and they live in this like little tiny New York apartment. Geppetto
With all these like vintage appliances and shit, and they dress like they're in the 40s.
Geppetto looking ass.
Yeah, it's like super like storybook, like Del Toro core.
Yeah. And we get introduced to the two little kids who bring bugs to Dr. Tyler, and they get paid for it, and they're really cute little kids, little New York kids. And they bring her, this is kind of what starts it off, like they bring her a weird bug, which it's a big weird bug that she finds out is like evolved from the original Judas breed or whatever. But yeah, and then at this point we're kind of just investigating, trying to find out where these bugs are coming from, more people are being attacked. And we can talk a little bit about some of the CG elements. So yeah, so there's definitely a hard line in this movie between like there are some great practical effects and some like,
and there are some practical effects that you can't see because it's too dark.
Exactly, there's some like lighting is hiding certain things, and then in the moments where they have to use CG, where like it goes beyond the capabilities of what you can do with the animatronics, it's not great looking.
That's when it looks like the bug at the beginning of Alien Resurrection, the director's cut.
Exactly. Like the worst shot for me is when Dr. Tyler is running in the subway away from the bug, and he fully, it's the first time you see them fully out, and it's just this big CG cockroach.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I wanted to make note. I was like, oh, that CG looks really bad. But then like she got picked up and carried away, and I was like, all right, that's still pretty scary.
Yeah, when she gets picked up and it flies, it looks like it's like clipping through the screen when it's like flying away. Like it's really jittery, and the frame rate gets really bad. We
were not ready for that yet.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also a thing where like, you know, this movie had like a very low budget. Like, what's the budget of
Bug's Life, dude? This is Bug's Life, the prequel.
The prequel to Bug's Life. Budget of $30 million. So like, yeah, like pretty low for this kind of monster movie. It's got a pretty big cast.
Yeah. Stacked cast.
No, in there, also in there, we get introduced to Josh Brolin's character, who he works with. He works for the CDC. So her husband, Dr. Tyler's husband, like they're kind of like a little buddy cop dynamic where they're investigating like all these people who got killed in the church.
That's the thing. It would have been really easy to make his character like an asshole, but like all these characters are like really likable, even when they're like being an asshole. Like they're still like, I can see where you're coming from. I can see why you're annoyed with this person.
Exactly. Like all the characters, they're all one-dimensional, but they are. I think it's the performances, and these actors are putting in a lot of effort to make them look. I think a part of that too just has to do with Guillermo del Toro's direction. Like he's a really good director as well. Yeah,
he's really good at directing actors.
Yeah, just a good storyteller. Fucking love Guillermo del Toro.
Same.
And you know what? As somebody who could fucking direct one-note characters, Dune. His characters got half a dimension. But anyway, so trying to see what else happens. We don't have to go through exactly everything. We can just talk about some of our cool moments. There was a surprise Norman Reedus, baby.
Yeah, Norman Reedus, too young to look like Norman Reedus yet.
Exactly. He's so smooth.
I feel like it's a bad habit of mine that I have no intention of breaking, but every time we watch a movie on this show, I seem to like somehow relate it back to whatever game I'm playing at right now. But you had to bring up this movie when I'm playing Death Stranding, which has Norman Reedus and Guillermo del Toro in it.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was a fun coincidence.
Yeah, seeing Norman.
And he showed up, and I was like, "Wait, is that?" because he doesn't look like him yet. Like he doesn't have like the weird bags under his eyes yet that he's famous for.
He doesn't sound like himself at all. His voice doesn't have any rasp to it. Like
he's not playing the same character he plays in everything.
Exactly. Even like Blade 2, like he's recognizable as himself in Blade 2, which makes sense why Guillermo del Toro, wasn't. But
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So Surprise Norman Reedus, just for a scene, he's like a what's it called? Like a sewage worker type deal, like the thing.
The water treatment plant. Which that set was so well put together and detailed that I was like, that must be where the third act is going to take place. But no, it's literally just there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's so like well lit and established, and like it looks like no water treatment plant probably actually looks.
Yeah.
Like it's Del Toro's New York, man.
Yeah, no, it's Del Toro's gothic ass New York. That is the one thing I will say. I don't know if I want to call it a negative, but or at least it's something that I noticed where I'm like, man, this feels like it's a bunch of sets. Like it didn't really feel like they shot a lot of things on location. Like, and I think a lot of it came down to how little people there were on screen. Because that's what I think about when I think about movies that take place in New York, and it's something that I use the example of the Men in Black movies. Like there's people everywhere, because in New York there's fucking people everywhere, and it's a thing that and it looks like they're actually like running through the streets, and there's like real people doing shit.
But that said, most of the scenes in this movie take place in like the old, weird, neglected parts of New York, and that's another theme that I thought was going to be followed up on, was like the different like levels of New York. Like we're talking about like class, and like because we deal with like a lot of poverty, and like we go back to like the old dark parts of the city, and like some like the victims of these bugs are primarily like homeless people living underground. Like, I feel like if this movie was made today, it would have like a lot more of like something to say about like class. Because I felt like it was almost going to, and I was a little disappointed that it didn't.
Yeah,
but I thought the sets were great.
Yeah, it really touched on those themes, but didn't really delve into them. So Norman Reedus shows him a big weird bug.
Like, that's a lobster, right?
It's a lobster, right? If it's got more than 4 legs, it's not a mammal.
It's not a mammal. That's what she told me.
And also just nice little thing. He's the bass player, and like they're in a band.
Yeah.
Nice little character details.
Love it. They all feel like real fun people,
Yeah. So around the middle of this movie, all the characters end up underground. Little autistic boy gets taken by Mr. Funny Shoes, which that's another thing I liked. I like that as like a creepy like monster name, like Mr. Funny Shoes. And he's like making these like little figurine wire figurines of the bug men. And at first
he clicks his spoons together to match like the clicking noise that the bugs make.
Yeah, they're signs clicking noises. They're
it's probably the only reason they didn't kill him.
Yeah. And they take him, and then I was about to say Papa John, Geppetto.
Papa John.
Geppetto. Whatever that character's name is, Geppetto.
I think his name's Manny, I believe.
Yeah, Manny Geppetto follows his son down into the sewers.
Suspenders and mustache, yeah.
And then Dr. Mann, Josh Brolin, and Dylan from Alien 3 go down there to figure out where the bug, because they find like a room with a bunch of bug shit, and they like follow it down into the historic source. And then Dr. Tyler gets taken by one of the bugs. And yeah, pretty much the whole second half of the movie is down here, kind of like in these abandoned subways of New York.
And that's where I was like, oh, it's this kind of movie. Oh, okay. Time to like change my expectations.
Yeah,
I think I was a little disappointed.
It shifted. It's the reverse of staying on the bus or something. Like, I don't know. I was kind of digging. I think
it's not like a Dusk Till Dawn where it like changed, where it like surprised me. Where I think it's like, oh, it kind of makes sense that the whole thing's been leading up to this kind of movie.
Yeah, it's a thing where it's like I feel like you could have structured a lot of it. I think there's really 2 things you need that they should have done, or that like I would have liked to have seen different about how they handled this like underground bug world. Is that one?
Yeah,
I think like they should have leaned into the kind of bug colony
like a hive.
Make it look like a hive. Like it would probably just end up looking like the hive from Aliens, but that's the kind of thing that I think I'd want. Like they because early on,
they have them putting like shit on the walls, like, and you show the termite colony early on, and she's like talking about like, and they come here, and then they bring their prey down to this chamber, and I'm like, this is like foreshadowing for like when they go to a nest later, right?
Yeah.
And that never really, like, they were just like in a subway.
There's have you ever heard of the movie Fire in the Sky?
Yes, I've heard of it.
It is
I've heard that I shouldn't watch it.
You shouldn't. Who told you shouldn't watch
That's
it?
I've heard that it's not great. YouTube people.
I fucking love that movie personally. So hey, we'll have an episode on it. But point is, it's about a dude who gets abducted by aliens. And there's only one scene on the spaceship, and the design of it is great, and it's like really scary and creepy, and they did a good job of like making it feel like an alien spaceship. But it's like one of the reasons it hits so hard is because there's so little of it in the movie. And I think a thing where it's, you can make the argument that like, oh, maybe they didn't have the budget to make a whole bug world. But the thing is, we don't have to spend long. Like, we could literally just go to bug world in like the final like action sequence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know we're not there yet, but we can probably just jump to being there right now if you want to. The confrontation with the final big bad feels like a budget cut, like, because they dig up that there's one fertile male in the hive with the whole time. It's like, oh god, when are we going to see that thing? And then like in like one of the last scenes, it just kind of walks out in the hall, and it's like, oh, it's just like a big bug.
It's just a big bug that kind of looks like the other bugs. Like, it doesn't look.
Yeah, and then it gets hit by a subway train 2 minutes later, and it's like, this feels like you had like grander plans for this thing.
Exactly. It feels like you're just like, oh, we don't necessarily know how to end the movie. We don't have this kid ain't Newt, Yeah. Like they it was a little bit of a letdown in terms of like them of how we get to the big bug. Even down to like when we do see there's a shot of like all the CGI big bugs like hanging upside down. It does,
and some of them are like walking like looking like a bunch of trench coat men. It looks really cool.
It does look cool, but at the same time, it's like I still wanted more visually out of this environment, because it's just like it looks like just a abandoned subway. Like there isn't like visceral walls and.
Yeah, I would say that the movie spends most of it like promising, and then I'd say the third act kind of under delivers as far like at least visually for me.
Yeah.
Like like I said, there's like a whole description of like what a nest would look like, and like this is like a colony. Is like, oh, they're like the different classes. Here are the soldiers, and it's like this is gonna be like a dive into like a wasp nest, but we're like the size of a wasp. That's gonna be cool. Yeah. And then it's not that at all, really.
Yeah, no, it kind of turns into like this kind of weird, like wandering haunted house, and it's a thing where it's like I understand from a budgetary concern, like for budgetary reasons, like you can't have all that, but like I said, just instead of having all of this time in a mediocre environment, have less time in an environment that you can spend more money on to look more like an alien world, and it's for me that's really kind of like where it falls flat, because I was enjoying like these boogeymen coming up out of the sewers and grabbing people.
I wanted like a body snatchers thing.
Exactly.
Like I wanted like them to find out that like these guys are everywhere, and then you go out and you're like paranoid because some guys are just like dudes wearing hats and trench coats.
Like literally.
Oh god, no, we're safe. They're among us.
It's one of the bugs, and they go up and pull the hat off, and it's just a dude. Like, why the fuck you take my hat?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, no, like definitely that it could have gone more deeper into that vibe, and the second half definitely just ends up being people running around in a dark gray rooms. But there is still some good sequences in there. Like I really enjoy I really like the sequence where all the bugs are trying to get into the train car, and they had to like cover everything in goo in order to mask their scent. There is still some good practical effects sequences in here. Like there's just a scene where Dr. Mann is like trying to wire some shit together, and a bug comes through, and it's mostly practical in that scene. And like
it's like got its face.
It's got its face right there, and it's like crawling over him, and it looks great. There's just like the second half really is just like the best part for me. There's less character stuff going. They kill Josh Brolin off, which annoyed me.
Cut off his bottom half.
He had a cool death though, I will say.
It was a cool death. Yeah.
Yeah, and he pulled like the machine back and it slammed down on him.
I was real bummed that Manny Geppetto died.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I thought he was gonna make it to the end for sure, and that was just like, oh, now she gets a newt that she can protect.
Exactly. But are they gonna dissect the boy in the second movie? We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't.
It's not a bug. He's just autistic.
I wasn't too mad when Geppetto died because I don't. There were a few things that man was not providing for his son that kid should have been.
That's
in school.
fair. Like, yeah, well, I just chalked that up. There's to reference what we're talking about. The main character lady said sees him shining shoes and sees the little boy, and she's like, shouldn't he be in school? And he's like, no, he doesn't need school. He's special. And I just chalked that up to like the 90s understanding of autism. Like not really, like no one really knows what it is.
Yeah.
Like how it works. Like no, he still needs school. But
yeah.
I see that as like that's just like 90s shit.
At the very least, he has to interact with other kids his own age. Like maybe
not just like his old man dad.
Maybe he can join a shoe club or something. I don't fucking know. Yeah, also, the fact that he doesn't have a room, he's just got he's got
his curtain.
His curtain corner.
Yeah, that's the thing is like in the 90s that's very weird, but that's something that you would see like in the 40s, and it would be like, yeah, that makes sense for the time. Like he helps his dad with the business or whatever. And they can only afford like a 1-bedroom or like a 1-room apartment. Yeah. But like in the 90s, it's like this seems like because all the appliances are like from the 50s. It's got like this old black and white TV and like this big chunk. Like it feels extremely Del Toro. Like
it does. He loves that
like that sort of like mid 20th century fairy tale kind of shit.
The 50s B movie thing is very much something he loves. That's something he gets to explode with in Shape of Water. Like as far
and like in Pan's Labyrinth and like he loves that kind of like super like mid-century fantasy kind of thing.
Absolutely. I really want to do a Shape of Water episode soon. Now that I'm thinking about it, I've been wanting to rewatch it for a while. At the time when I watched it, it was my favorite Guillermo del Toro movie, and I want to see if it shifts.
I really liked it in the theater. I haven't seen it since.
Yeah, no, we definitely gotta bring that. We gotta bring on.
I need to see that movie with the boy and the bomb. I've heard that's really good too.
The Boy and the Bomb, is that another Del Toro movie?
Yeah, it's like one of his first. Like it's hold on.
Gotta find it.
What's it called? It's I think it's in Spanish.
The Boy and the Bomb.
I don't think that's what it's actually called, but it's about goddamn, he made a lot of movies.
The Boy and the what?
He made a lot of movies.
Indeed.
Yeah.
The Boy and the Bomb.
Goddamn, it's like one of his. Is that what it's actually called?
No, I'm looking at there's like a TV show. There's like a TV episode of something called The Boy and the Bomb from some kind of 60s thing. I don't know. We'll find it afterwards.
I'll find it.
But
Devil's Backbone, I think is what it's called.
There we go. Yeah, I need to see. That's the one he made right after this. I need to see it as well.
I've heard that's very good.
Yes. With this movie, it definitely it's like a basic monster movie. I think I like this movie better than something like Feast. As far as I was thinking in terms.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Yes.
Just in terms of like this kind of low mid budget 90s horror. I think something
The Feast is like really trying to make you like its characters for like how like real they are, but like I actually like these characters.
Yeah.
Feast to me is such like a try hard movie, especially like in retrospect, that it's like you really want me to like this and think that this is like so edgy and cool, and that's just pushing me away.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just like, I see what he's going for.
Absolutely. I think with Feast, all of my fascination around Feast has to do with how that movie was made. Like
Yeah, because you saw the documentary.
Yeah, no, the documentary, the Project Greenlight season about Feast is fucking 10,000 times more interesting than the film that was created.
Yeah.
As far which people listening, which we haven't talked about necessarily a whole lot on this show, but we were on a buddy's another podcast, 2 Cents Critic. Go check him out, Arthur Howell.
Yeah.
And we talked about the movie Feast.
We talked about Feast.
And that movie,
and I didn't like it then, and you could hear me talking about how I'd like it less now that I think back on it.
Yeah, it's not a great movie. It's another monster movie, but the cool thing about it is that you can watch the entire process of how that movie was made on YouTube for free with but it's
with Matt Damon there too.
With Matt Damon and Ben Affleck producing, because they had this reality TV series called Project Greenlight, which was basically like a behind the scenes, like, let's get a small filmmaker a chance to make a movie thing, and Feast is the focus of season 3 of that show, and it's really interesting because it's like I said it before, but I feel like oftentimes when you see like featurettes about the making of movies, or like you watch like a Blu-ray special feature or whatever, like a documentary, it's always this piece of content was made after the movie was finished. Like they expect you to be watching it with the context of you've seen,
and they know how the movie ended up and everything.
Whereas like this series, you're watching this movie get made in real time. Like every episode, it's like, okay, we got to find the director. Now we have to find the cast. Like, oh, this effect on this day didn't work, so we have to come back tomorrow. Like, it's like because it was released as like a weekly like build like that, and that's
they shot it and edited probably in sequence.
Exactly. And it's a really interesting. If you're a filmmaker, regardless if you like the movie or not, it's just an interesting thing. If you're interested in how movies are made, or if you want to be a filmmaker, it's really cool because you get to see that process done step by step, and it's just really interesting. I recommend checking it out. But anyways, back to Mimic. As far as like, this movie,
it's good.
Yeah, it was good. It was love. It's a good little monster movie. I think it's a thing where it's like, I would definitely be more. If I had seen this movie when I was a kid, I would be way more nostalgic for it. Probably something in the realm of like 8-legged, because I love 8-legged freaks. But I have shown a few people that movie, and they're kind of like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And a part of that definitely has to be the nostalgia. I can appreciate the things that are good in this. And I definitely want to watch the sequels.
I'm curious to hear about them. If you say it, they're good, I'll try them. But
they're probably not going to be.
They're straight to video, so I'm like, if my problem with this is like missed potential, then like if I watch those movies, I'm gonna just be depressed.
Like Joseph said, with Mimic, it's on Paramount Plus. It looks like you can watch it for free on Pluto TV. I was really hoping that it was going to be on Tubi, because I want every movie.
We need that Tubi partnership, dude.
Every Tubi, I totally I'll review Tubi original content. Let's go.
We're not going to say it's good, but we'll review it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you pay us enough, we'll say it's good. I don't give a shit.
So prop time. I feel like there's a lot of good props to pick from in this.
Yeah. If I can go first, I want the lobster. It's not a lobster.
Oh, the little creature that Norman Reedus digs up.
Yeah, the weird like bug fetus that has like the guts inside. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that thing.
That's a really good one. I want the little Mr. Funny Shoes figurine that Chewie made out of wire.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
That's what I want.
It stands up and everything.
It does. I want to put it on my shelf. Be like, what's that? People be like, what's that? I'll be like, that's Mr. Funny Shoes.
That's a long story, man. I don't know.
Yeah. But no, yeah, Mimic. It's a good time, folks. Please watch it. More Guillermo del Toro movies are coming in the future for sure. If you're listening to this, hopefully this episode, I'll post on social media, but like the last few episodes have kind of come out a little inconsistently. I've just been on the road and I've been busy.
Life happens, man.
And life's been our car got hit by a deer. We've been dealing with that, and things are going, but things are good. There's still episodes to come. There's still content to come. The commentary for this month is definitely going to be delayed. The Patreon commentary, but that's okay.
I wouldn't have wanted. You suggested doing a commentary for this movie. I don't think I would have wanted to do that. I think, upon watching it, I don't know if I want to watch. I don't know if I want to talk over a movie that I like this much.
Yeah.
Let's save that for the shitty movie.
Exactly. I think we're probably gonna do. I want to do The Fly 2 for our commentary. I think that'd be a fun one.
Down for that.
Yeah. But yeah, so for folks just tuning in, this has been Midnight Movie Gang. I didn't even tell people what the show is about at the beginning of this because
they know by now.
This is episode 40. This is episode 49. So
yeah,
it's y'all should fucking know at this
point. Coming up on 50. You already know what it is.
Coming up on 50. Thank you so much for listening. Right now it's 12:14 p.m. Night Movie Gang. Be seeing you folks while I'm on the road. I'm gonna try to be still uploading stuff and interacting on the social medias. Check us out at Midnight Movie Gang on Instagram, at Midnight Movie Gang Podcast on YouTube. Please check us out and have a nice night. Goodbye.
Bye.
So, here we go. With childish frustrations and complexes which the police are searching for James Todd, believed to be the lover of Miss Williams, and her partner in the horrible murder of Walter. Where's everybody that I'm here to hold on? Oh, please tell me where this going. Please tell me. Sorry, I don't know. How long is it? How home is it I got in here? 3 tickets to Albany on 6 o'clock train tonight. What do you think? Special agent.